And now, keeping this inward feeling, listen to the words of Swamiji this morning. The subject is on love. One finds love not by being loved, but by loving. We can never know love if we try to draw others to ourselves, nor can we find it by centering our love in them. For love is infinite. It is never ours to create. We can only channel it from its source in infinity to all whom we meet. The more we forget ourselves in giving to others, the better we can understand what love really is. And the more we love as channels for God's love, the more we can understand that His is the one love in all the universe. And now let's affirm together, I will love others,
I will love others
as extensions of my own self,
as extensions of my own self,
and of the love I feel from God.
and the love I feel from God.
I will love others
I will love others
as extensions of my own self,
as extensions of my own self,
and of the love I feel from God.
and of the love I feel from God.
A little more quietly with deep concentration. I will love others as extensions of my own self, and of the love I feel from God. And now in a whisper, I will love others as extensions of my own self, and of the love I feel from God. And now silently, at the spiritual eye, with all of your energy, I will love others as extensions of my own self, and of the love I feel from God. I will love others as extensions of my own self, and of the love I feel from God. And please pray silently with me. O Infinite One, make me a channel for Thy love. Through me, reach out to sow seeds of love in barren hearts everywhere.
Well, good morning to everyone and all those that are online. It's a joy to be with you. This reading is from Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Ananda, entitled, My Soul Submarine is Searching for Thee. I found myself suffocating in the dark vapors of worldly ambition. As my vessel sailed over life's seas, fearful of dying in delusion, I sought out and boarded the submarine of deep dedication and dove deep into my inner self. In the silent depths of thy consciousness I saw, at first shimmering before me, a light which spoke to me of fulfillments never before dreamed of. Diving deeper still, the submarine of my mind moved into astral seas so rarely plumbed in search of thee. Suddenly, probing with searchlight vision, my soul submarine found itself in a new universe. I was surrounded on all sides by a mystic flaming radiance. Overwhelmed by thy supernal blessings, I beheld and reveled in thy presence everywhere. And from the autobiography of a yogi, drawn from the chapter, Rama is raised from the dead. The biblical story of Abraham's plea to the Lord that the city of Sodom be spared if 10 righteous men could be found therein, and the divine reply, I will not destroy it for 10's sake, gains new meaning in the light of India's escape from the oblivion of Babylon, Egypt, and other mighty nations who were once her contemporaries. The Lord's answer clearly shows that a land lives not by its material achievements, but in its masterpieces of man. Let the divine words be heard again in this 20th century, twice dyed in blood ere half over. No nation that can produce 10 men great in the eyes of the unbribable judge shall know extinction. Heeding such persuasions, India has proved herself not witless against the 1,000 cunnings of time. Self-realization masters in every century have hallowed her soil. Modern Christ-like sages like Lahiri Mahashaya and his disciple, Swami Sri Yukteswar, rise up to proclaim that the science of yoga is more vital than any material advances to man's happiness and to a nation's longevity. There was a time when Yogananda had an extraordinary experience here in India in the mid-30s, when he came back for that brief period of time in the mid-30s. And he met Yogi Ramya. And Yogi Ramya was also a self-realized soul, free of all karma, like Yogananda himself and the other avatars. And Yogananda said that when he met Yogi Ramya, and they walked hand in hand together in the ashram, that Yogananda, if he had spent another half an hour in Yogi Ramya's presence, he could not have possibly left India. It was that powerful. Swami Kriyananda, when he was here between 1958 and 1962, those 4 precious years, when it was time for him to leave and take on his responsibilities, he too had a very, very challenging time leaving. And it was only when he remembered, as I believe I mentioned at the Satsang last Sunday, when he met a person that was from America that had the vibration, had the attunement of the essence of India, then he thought, okay, I can go back. That was, again, the necessary bridge for him to cross back to the States, because he was concerned. He was, again, as an American, though born in Romania, he knew that America, very special, wonderful place indeed, but nevertheless, there's no place like India. No place like India. Swami, when he was here in those early 50s and into the late 50s and early 60s, there was a break until he could come back to live here. He visited a couple of times in the 70s, but there was 40 years that passed, and this was not easy for him. There was even a time, he said, which really I found, quite amazing, that he couldn't even really sing the Indian bhajans during this particular period all that much because the tug was too strong to come back to India. And so seems that reveals an Indian soul encased in an American body, where he had so many incarnations here that he again found it challenging to be in the West. And yet at the same time, Yogananda said that America and India would lead the world. India, obviously, with the spirituality that is here, and America with the materialist aspect, which of course is both important. We need to keep the lights on. At the same time, we need to remember that even in India, it's not always easy to grasp the possibility of being able to do all that we are needing to do in our dharma, in raising families, if that be our karma, whatever it might be, and also have a flourishing spiritual life. It seems impossible, but it can be done. And again, India makes it much easier. As Swamiji said, in Hawaii, and Hawaii is beautiful, as we know, of going to the tropics and different places in India, Bangalore itself. It's not easy to have the incentive to meditate there because everything is so easy. Let's go surfing, let's have some mangoes. Where's the incentive? When Swami Kriyananda was helping Yogananda and the monks and so forth to establish Lake Shrine, which Yogananda called the showcase of his work in the 50s. What was there but gnats in this beautiful vibration, this natural amphitheater? And so Swami Kriyananda went to Yogananda and said, why? And in this blessed place, would there be this? And Yogananda said sweetly, well, this is the Lord's way of always moving us toward him. And that's a very good lesson, because we find that even here in Mother India, where the vibration is so deep and so precious, the land of saints, there's all kinds of things, even here in this heavenly astral plane, that cause us, irritation. But what did Yogananda say in order to encourage us? He said, don't let anything get your goat of peace. Getting your goat, getting that part of our being that gets agitated. Don't let that happen. And the yogis, of course, have discovered over the centuries, a tremendous tool, and that's the inner life. When we are functioning in our hearts, and when we are with a bright consciousness, then all kinds of things can happen. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was saying, "Oh, how I appreciate Kriya." And I think really it was quite an understatement that he was sharing, which he well knew. Because in the past, all these kinds of things, interactions with people that perhaps were being unscrupulous, whatever it might be, would irritate me. But now I just feel that Divine Mother knows what she's doing. Nothing is mine. So if she wants to act in this way, fine. Things that bother us. And if, she's giving us a pat on the head and it's our birthday or who knows what, this combination that we all experience, the ups and downs of life, fine. And he shared that it was Kriya, which is to say meditation, which is to say communing with God in all the various ways through affirmation, and on it goes. As Yogananda said, if you just do 10% of what I ask you, you will get there. Because really it's a matter of getting to that point where the interest is there. And that interest comes for God because of the prod. And what is the traditional prod? Pain. So is pain the enemy? No, we don't exactly appreciate when it comes visiting. But nevertheless, just like the gnats, it's pushing us forward. And in that way, we find that every moment indeed is a crossroads. And so what is going to be our choice? Yogananda also said, free will. You want to know what your free will is? You can go and face the light, or you can face the shadow. That's your free will. And every moment we have that. And that's why a disciplined mind's a happy mind. Every single time we find ourselves, being pushed down by our karma, by the environment, by this Maya, then we have a choice. Do we want to stay in that state, or do we want to shift our vibration? Well, it's much, much easier in a country such as India. Much easier. And for those of you that have been born here, which I would imagine is most of you, what a gift. They say that we choose our parents. And so when you were scanning the various possibilities, you thought, well, India for starters. Let's narrow it on down. There's many, many different countries and all, very special. But I want to have this incarnation to spur me on. I want the shortcuts. I want to be in an environment that breathes God. Even when I came to India in 1980, I never thought I would come to have this special privilege. But just landing in the Delhi airport, the vibration just flooded the place, and I couldn't help but think, if this is the airport, what's the rest of the place like? And I knew well, because I had talked to friends, and Swami, of course, had shared many, many stories of that wonderful and dear time that he was in India in the late 50s and the 60s. Why did he come back? Because Master said to him, when he was there with Master in the late 40s and early 50s, that perhaps I'll send you to India someday. And even he was going to take Swami Kriyananda. The last 3 years of Yogananda's life, Yogananda was planning to come to India, but there are various things that came up, and he was able to make the trip, and he was going to bring Swami with him. And when Swami heard Yogananda at one point say, it was a bit of a shock to Swami when he said, well, aren't you kind of excited to come to India this time? And Master was just simply in that state where if Divine Mother wants me to, fine. If not, that's fine. And Swami Kriyananda, it wasn't as easy to embrace that attitude for him. The thought of going to India with his guru, it didn't happen. He came to India and in 03, and he said that Yogananda is with me even more than when I was with him when he was in his body. So it all worked out. It was a happy ending. But at that particular time, Yogananda, whatever Divine Mother wanted was fine by him, and that was his attitude. That was his consciousness, as is true of all the consciousness of all the great saints. They're happy. Lahiri Mahashaya was described by who was it? Who's the saint? Who am I forgetting? Kailanga Swami. That Lahiri Mahashaya, and they were very close, was like a kitten. And wherever Divine Mother wanted to take him, he was fine, even in the government office for 30 years as an accountant. He was fine with that. Yes, he would have preferred to stay with Babaji. As we read in the autobiography of a yogi, when he met Babaji by seeming chance, of course it wasn't that, he did not want to go. But Babaji said, this incarnation is for you to be with, the multitudes, to be as an example. People will take heart that you as a householder with modest duties and so forth and family, that you have this great radiance and attunement. They'll take heart that they too don't necessarily have to renounce if that is not their karma. They can take heart that here is a yogi there in Benares that is flourishing. It's a saint even, and able to do all that he needs to do in discharging his worldly duties and yet stay in God. And so, precious Mother India, Roman I and others that are here serving, we're so lucky to come back. Swami was 40 years coming back to live here as he came in 03 in his mid-70s. A phenomenal thing because his body was, not quite in the shape he was in the late 50s, obviously. And I, coming in 1980, I had to wait 25 years. Well worth the wait. Patience is a shortcut to finding God, and truly, we are learning that more and more. In God's good time, we will be free. We're free now, but we'll awaken to that freedom. In God's good time, the various things that we're wanting, perhaps, whatever it might be, deepening meditation, being, kinder and more in tune, all of the things that all of us yearn for as souls, will come in time. And yet, at the same time, we need to stamp upon our consciousness that we have that which we are seeking right now. And don't forget it. It's why Yogananda said, memorize my poem Samadhi. And if you haven't heard, very interesting, when he was in New York, which was the first place that he really had his first public lecture in the early 20s, he wrote that mystic poem. Hard to imagine that you could capture in words a state of consciousness as Samadhi, but he did. And he said that he rode the subway back and forth in New York, famous for subways. No one saw him. He didn't want to be interrupted when he was writing this incredible poem. If you haven't read it, it's in the autobiography of Yogi. It's incredible. And one can understand why. Memorize my poem Samadhi so that we keep on remembering who we are and where we are going and where we come from. And so, precious Mother India, this place, really, there's nothing like it. There really is nothing like it. And there's so many people that I have found over the years that come here. And some of the time, very interesting, they don't even know why they've been drawn. Oh, maybe, it's a corporate situation. They need to go see their team in, Bangalore or Hyderabad or something. They may not even know, but something begins to shift in their consciousness. And the next thing they know, they're making an excuse there at the office to come back. And they may not even know the second time. And they may not even know the third time, but their soul knows. The soul knows what's here. And then at one point, then perhaps they're introduced to yoga or to meditation, to whatever it might be. And why is, again, as Master said when he was in India in the mid-30s, I could have swept the country. It wasn't his thing to do, is to be in the West 30 years. And I thank you again for loaning us, Master, for all that time, because that was a real sacrifice to give to America the 30 years of Yogananda. But it was, again, his duty, his dharma to do that. But what did he end up doing? Especially through the autobiography of Yogi and in so many public talks and so forth. Yogananda, yoga, and of course, it wasn't his work alone, Vivekananda and others. This whole world is beginning to think, yoga. Wonder if it's more than just hatha yoga. What's this meditation? Even in India, there is that growing interest. Many, of course, know from childhood. But others, bit by bit, they're beginning to appreciate what is coming out of this ground and what is there to be received, and then, of course, to give back. So, thank you, Divine Mother, for doing what you have done over the centuries here in India and continue to do, because these great saints are here. As I like to say, Babaji's just right up the street. He's here now. He wanted to go too. But as we read in the autobiography of Yogi, Mataji, his sister, caught that thought that he wanted to leave and talked him into staying. And so he didn't say, I'll just stay for an incarnation. He said, I'll stay for this great length of time, which can't even measure. Such is the great commitment of the saints and Babaji himself. So again, God bless you all. It's a joy. We certainly missed you while we were in the States those many, many months. And here we are back again. So it's a joy.
They changed the clip on this. It's very nice. So we have one of our Sangha members, Jagdish, that is every single week or day or every other day, he puts these beautiful sayings of Master on our WhatsApp. And if you've taken level 1, you get to be on that level, that WhatsApp. And it's such a wonderful seva because it encourages people just from the very first moment when you wake up in the morning, there's Master, there are his words. And this morning it was particularly beautiful. And I wanted to read it because it's just perfect. This is from Master, and this is from the book, Practicing the Presence of God. There cannot be any excuse for not thinking of God day and night, rolling in the background of your mind. God, God, God. Whether you are washing dishes or digging a ditch or working in an office or a garden, whatever you may be doing, inwardly say, Lord, manifest to me. You are right here. You are in the sun. You are in the grass. You are in the water. You are in this room. You are in my heart. And it's so true and it's so beautiful. And this is what Yogananda came to share with us. It's not in America, it's not in Sweden, it's not in India, it's not where you go. It's who you are and what you're thinking of. And if you're thinking of God, there he is. He's right here in our hearts. And we do not have to ever feel that he's not there. We have the choice in this life. And as yogis, as we meditate, and the deeper we get into the spirit and recognizing who we are as souls, the deeper we have that wonderful feeling of the presence of God every moment of our lives. How could it be otherwise? We came from God. We are part of God. And we look at our lives and, it's challenging because we think it doesn't really go together. We have all these things that we have to do. We have to raise our children. We have to go to work. We have to make money. We have to make decisions in our life that are difficult. We have to be pressured by society. We have to make these challenging movements in our life. We have to. And so immediately, where's God? All of a sudden, we think we're alone and we're doing it ourselves. We're not doing it ourselves. We drew all of these things into our lives. Why? So that we can work out that karma with God, with Divine Mother, with the saints, with love, so that we can learn how to share that love with these souls in our life that we've been given, with these circumstances. It's a blessing. Life is a gift. Life is a blessing when you do it with God and when you do it with love. And that's why we had that affirmation this morning. It's all love. It's Divine Mother. India, as Haridas was talking about, the vibration is very high. And so for this incarnation, what a privilege to be in a place where the vibration and is supporting that thought of God. We were just in America, as you all know, and we were in New York, where Master was. I can honestly say that it was very hard to feel him in New York. It's a very worldly place, and it's very materialistic. Wonderful, wonderful energy. But we were in a bubble. Why? Because we're devotees. And so we would meditate every day. We would call Master into our lives for all of the different activities that we had to do. We left the autobiography of a yogi on the table so that we could go open it up during the day and get a little hit of Master. And we really looked at this excursion, we were gone a long time, as being instruments for love. That's all. It was very simple. It was very simple. Our daughter was married a lovely spiritual man. That part of our life is over now. But while we were there, I realized India, yes, America, wherever we are, there God is. We cannot forget it. We can't go to work in the morning and forget him all day long and come home and meditate and think, oh, I'm so spiritual. And unless we're sharing the blessings, we won't receive that special blessing from Divine Mother, because she's using us right where she's placed us to share that love. That's why we're here. That's the only reason. We're here for love. We're here to be instruments. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And India it's really opened Haridas's in my life and hearts. We're so grateful to be back. We're just so grateful to be back. We saw the contrast. Then I realized as I was meditating, when I got back, I thought, there is no difference. Time and space are an illusion. We're in America, we're in India, God is there. And so when you raise your children, I see the lovely children in this community, and it's so beautiful. Don't let them go all the way through the educational system without telling them about God, without telling them about love, without telling them how they can be deeply happy, without telling them the secret of life, which is to find God. Tell them while they're young. And all the aunties and the uncles and the grandparents, that's our responsibility to model that for our younger generation, because they look to us. Who else do they have? They look to us for the example. We can't just say the words and then go off and be nasty and be materialistic and be in our own little bubble and tell them to do it. You go meditate. When I would get off center, my daughter would always say, Mom, you better go meditate. Because we we had that example. She knew that we meditated every day. And then when I was off my center, she'd say, well, how long did you meditate this morning, Mom? So they're watching. They're looking to us. We're we're their channel. We're their channel for Divine Mother. We're the channel for love. All of us are. And also I wanted to just close by saying that a Sangha in a spiritual family is the most beautiful gift that you can have, because we're supporting one another through all of it, through illness, through success, through failure, through whatever comes in our life. We support our families, we support each other economically, we just support one another through prayer, through love, through a conversation on the phone, whatever. Don't stay away from the family. Really come to the center. Come and feel the vibration of your brothers and sisters, because just as Haridas said, we chose India, we chose our spiritual family, and we were sent by Master and these great gurus to support and love and experience one another as devotees. This is what is important. That gives us the strength. It gives us the aura of magnetism of love, and it just is what we're here for. Don't forget why we're here. We're here to feel God's presence and to share that. So thank you all for coming today, and we're going to play a song for you. Neha brought her speaker again, and just as Master said, memorize the poem Samadhi, Jyotish had the idea a few years ago that we should memorize the words to this song. This song is from Yogananda. These are the words that he wrote. This is a poem that he wrote, and it's called God, God, God. And Swamiji put it to music. And when you say it with music, it's much easier to remember it. So you can go ahead and play it.
From the depths of slumbers I ascend the spiral stairways of wakefulness. I will whisper, whisper, God, God, God. Thou art the food, and when I break my fast of nightly separation from thee, I will taste thee and mentally say, God, God, God. No matter where I go, the spotlight of my mind will ever keep turning on thee. And in the battle din of activity, my silent war cry will be, God, God, God. When boisterous storms of trials shriek, and when worries howl at me, I will drown their noises loudly chanting, God, God, God. And my mind weaves dreams, dreams, with threads of memories. On that magic cloth will I emboss, God, God, God. Every night in time of deepest sleep, when my peace dreams and calls, joy, joy, my joy comes singing evermore. God, God, God. eating, working, dreaming, sleeping, serving, meditating, chanting, divinely loving, my soul will constantly hum, unheard by any God.